Hi, Carrie Burchell here with North Star Coaching. My mission in life is to help teams slow down to go fast and really look at interpersonal communication. So, how do we interact with each other so that we get the work done? So, sometimes we're just going so fast that we don't take that moment to really communicate and manage those interpersonal dynamics so that there's trust and we can rock it on the productivity end, accomplish your outcomes, your goals, whatever needs to be done. Certainly in this time of innovation and reinventing ourselves and our jobs and the company and the motto and mission of the things that we used to do before COVID has all shifted us. And now is the time to go slow, to go fast, and really dive into interpersonal communication. So, today's tip on Shine Like a North Star is helping you tell the story to shift your culture. So, really, stories influence culture, stories create culture. And as a leader, you can create the story, or you can let your staff create the story that may or may not align with the story you want. So, let me give you a couple of examples. Some really cool work. Recently, I was working with a production company, and part of our leadership retreat was to go and ask the employees how they would define culture. When we look at the feedback from that retreat, it was very unanimously like a highlight of the day together was slowing down to have that interpersonal communication. And some of the leaders, what they heard affirmed what they thought, and some of the leaders were a little surprised, or what they thought, their frontline employees would define as the culture was enhanced by what the employees said. So there's this piece of getting at what is the story out there and what do you want that story to be. So with this production manufacturing company, we really spent some time thinking through, okay, so I've gone and I've sort of heard the employees' voice, frontline employees, how do they describe the culture? How do I want them to describe the culture on the back end, right? And where does that connect? Where can we adjust as leaders? And what interpersonal communication needs to take place for us to get there? And that's the slow down to go fast stuff, right? If people hear the same story and the same message and we're rowing in the same direction and we're drinking the same Kool-Aid, then that shift and that story gets promoted that much faster and that much better. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Let me give you another example, which is one of my favorite, of course, things that I do as part of my coping and sort of wellness strategy, I guess, is I walk on the Riverwalk every day. We live in San Antonio, Texas. Recently moved here, so it's still like honeymoon, awesome. Although it's been like 10 months. I don't know really in a year from now if I'm going to be sick of the Riverwalk, 2 years, 5 years. It's just super cool space. So an example of creating the story and really the culture comes from some interactions that I've had with people working on the river. So obviously tons of grounds crew, irrigation engineers, where they take the river water and irrigate things, plant, make sure everything's thriving. Of course, Texas gets hot, right? Managing the temperature and all of the environmental considerations. So there was a group of 5 or 6 employees that were working cleaning up, like kind of in the mess of longer grass and dead grass and maybe not so fun stuff, right? Like it wasn't the pretty planting or laying mulch or that kind of work. It was like, we got to clean up. And so I said, like, thanks very much for doing this. Like it matters to me that it's just such a pretty space for me as part of my daily routine. And the employee piped up and said, thank you for enjoying our service. Very different story, right? Where he is cleaning up the river as part of his service to the community. And more importantly than that, he wants me to benefit from his service. And the word he used was service. When we think of creating stories, words matter. And giving me a different story, right? I'm grateful that he's cleaning up. It shifts the story when he says, thank you for taking part of my service, for enjoying my service. I'm walking the dog, finishing our loop, and just kind of going, man, that is cool that he wanted me to love it as much as I do. Like, I'm in the club. I'm telling you about the Riverwalk, right? Another example happened just the other day. There were two people doing more of the sexier fun stuff, planting some new bushes and laying down mulch. And there were two people there, and you took the time to introduce themselves. They wanted to learn my name, the dog's name. So certainly interpersonal communication, good stuff. And then they say, and this is the story part, they tell me, we're here for you. If there's ever anything you need, you can always just ask us. And then they told me an example of somebody who was in a risky situation and how the River Authority landscaping folks helped out. So he's not only saying like, hey, friendly, learning your name, learning the dog's name, here's my name, Michael and Juan and John, just as a sidebar. They wanted me to know, we're here for you. We value your safety. It doesn't happen very much. Sometimes there's some nefarious stuff going on the river. We're here for you. Very different story, right? Than, oh, thanks, yep, the weather's not too hot today. We're planting some new bushes, which was part of the conversation. The story really became around, we're here for you, and we want to make sure that you're safe all the time. If you ever need anything, just tell us. Right? Manage the story. So two things to consider out of today's live. One is to find out, what is the story? So we have a perception of what the story is. As leaders, as people in a culture, in a group, really ask about what the culture is. What is the story out there? Don't assume that you know. Ask. Make people put words on it. And that's just, people want to describe their work environment, right? That's not a secret shopper kind of question. It's simply, hey, how would you describe the culture here? And I think the question that we used with the manufacturing company was something along the lines of, let's say that a new employee is applying to work here. How would you describe the plant? Right? And they captured the good, bad, and the ugly. And it was neat to hear for the leaders some of the good stuff that maybe they had discredited or didn't realize that their employees understood they were trying so hard to achieve as leaders. So the first thing is hear the story. The second thing is you create the story. So what do you want? What do you want the perception to be? And the two examples with the city, one story is, thank you for taking advantage of my service. We want you to engage. We want you to actually cause us more work by using the park. And the second story is that around, we're here for you anytime. If you need anything, especially to keep you safe, reach out to us. Great stories. And these are landscaping crews that are just cleaning up the Riverwalk. So stories can happen in a nanosecond with strangers, quick interactions. It needs intentionality from the leadership group to get on the same page around what is the message behind the story that we're promoting all over the place. So that's the skinny. Look forward to hearing more about what's going on. I have a running list of people who want to participate in a Crucial Conversations class, which is really where we talk through what we're perceiving happening and having some of those tough conversations, really leveraging that interpersonal skill of talking and bringing up hard stuff in ways that leave people motivated and even more engaged to kind of get on the same page. So if you're interested in that workshop, $99 cheap. I'll put you on a list, and when we sort of generate enough people, then I just kick off another cohort at a time that works for the people on the list. So if you're interested in that, direct message me or send me a message or an email or find me on LinkedIn, Carrie Burchell. Great to see everybody. Have a safe and good day.